Hello, I want to talk to you about what it feels like to wear fetish gear. For those of you who are familiar with my videos, I enjoy wearing leather, rubber, PVC, and shiny tracksuits. Clothes that stand out, clothes that are shiny, clothes that are alternative, clothes that give me, as well as other people, a thrill. I've had times when people do a double take at me when I'm wearing fetish gear. It's one thing to recognize that you have an interest in alternative clothes. With leather, it could either be in public or online, depending on the amount of leather being worn. With rubber, it's likely you'll first see it being worn online. That's how it was for me. And if your fetishes include sports gear, well, you're gonna see that everywhere. My earliest realization of enjoying certain clothing was with tracksuits. Since my teen years, I've enjoyed wearing tracksuits. The style and fit of them has always made wearing them a pleasure for me. But when the Adidas Chili 62 tracksuits came out, my enjoyment of them went to the next level. They have the soft smoothness typical of tracksuits and other details that I mention in my Love for Tracksuits video. But the biggest feature for me is the shininess. They're really shiny tracksuits, and I love being shiny. It was when I was moving through my teenage years that I began to realize my interest in more apparent fetish clothing. My initial awakening was seeing others wearing gear and how it looked on them. Then I imagined what it would look like on me, how it would feel to wear the material, what would it be like against my skin. I couldn't get it out of my mind. Not that I was making any effort to get it out of my mind. What's the point of doing that? If something's caught your intrigue in a positive, harmless way, why fight it? So the natural next step was to start buying some gear. It began with a pair of casual leather trousers. Looking back, I would say they were my gateway to wearing more fetish gear. Like others, I started where I was comfortable, wearing them in the privacy of inside the house. Then after that, I began experiencing the thrill of wearing them outside. I remember that initial response, not just from how it made me feel, but also the response that I got from others. People I knew would comment. Sometimes I'd get glances from other people in the street because, you know, they're leather trousers, not a leather jacket. Wearing a leather jacket is one thing. Loads of men do that. But a man wearing a pair of leather pants, especially years ago, that takes on a different edge, and it generated new responses within me. Not just the thrill of being seen wearing a pair of leather pants, but also the joy of having the material up against my legs, the feeling of it on me. Unlike a jacket which goes over a shirt or a tee, trousers are in direct contact. This feeling, this sensation, then reached its height when I began wearing full leather gear. Head to foot in leather, layer on layer of leather. The full length of me dressed in leather. In terms of definitely recognizable fetish clothing, it is the PVC, the leather, the rubber. I don't have just one specific material that I enjoy. They all have wonderful positive qualities for me. Each of these different materials have got things in common that bring positive benefits for me. And no doubt this will be true for other people who enrich their lives with alternative gear. That first time putting on fetish gear, the gratification of the material against my body, the textures, the feel of it. With leather, I love how it's smooth and soft, but also weighty and strong. The creaking sounds it makes when I sit down, stand up, move around, the scrunching, it sounds wonderful. Having multiple pieces of leather on at the same time, every part of my body is covered. I'm covered up, but at the same time I feel free. That feeling of liberation is common for me no matter what gear I'm wearing. Look at rubber, the opposite of leather. It's thin, it's tighter, but it stimulates all the same senses. The feeling of it against my skin, the sound it makes, the squeaking, rubbing sounds, it all adds to the fulfillment I experience. When I'm wearing full rubber gear, with gloves, a hood, fully covered up, I still get that same feeling of liberation. You can't see my skin, but at the same time you still see my body, the shape of it, every curve. I enjoy how I can become sweaty when wearing rubber. I'm not saying I break into a sweat every time I wear rubber, but depending on the conditions it can happen, but I enjoy it for what it is. Rubber gear is particularly fun and pleasurable for me when having gunge fun. Wearing rubber leggings and rubber shirt covered in wet, slippery goo. It's like it's like being a life-size condom. The first time I showed up wearing rubber gear at an event that wasn't fetish in nature was the Cardiff Half Marathon in March 2022. Not your typical running gear. There are thousands of people in attendance, and yet it was a really positive, liberating experience for me. A running event could be considered a safe, non-fetish environment to wear rubber, because some runners will wear all sorts of outfits, usually for charity, but narrow-minded people can be anywhere. PVC is another material that quenches my thirst for shiny, smooth softness. My first outing wearing PVC was to a club called the Wendy House. This was years ago, and I actually have no idea if this club still exists. But some pictures do exist. My gear looks amazing, but I look like I need a really good night's sleep. Again, you have to choose your environment if it's not a fetish environment or a pride event, because there will be some people who have to mouth off, but you might be pleasantly surprised at how many people will just live and let live. I love running my hands over PVC. I love running my hands all over all these different clothes. I love the thrill and desire of pushing my face into fetish gear. Why not? It's more adventurous than just feeling with my hands, and I can use my mouth, my tongue, satisfy my nose. Just go for it. Obviously, it's a more sensual and fun experience when the leather, rubber, PVC, tracksuit, whatever, is being worn on someone else, but even enjoying the material on my own can be uplifting. Being so involved with fetish gear is an important way of achieving positive mental health. Recognizing and experiencing this aspect of me, allowing myself and my desires to be immersed in all this gear, is a vital expression. Embracing my fetishes adds a wonderful dimension to my life. I put this stuff on and there's an energy that rushes through me. It's so enriching. I love being in shiny gear. I love wearing shiny, kinky gear. There are times when I like to mix fetish clothes with standard generic clothes, but being fully in fetish gear leaves no doubt to other people of what I enjoy and what I embrace. You know, whatever your passions are, if they're benign, so long as they don't cause yourself or anyone else harm, just live them. Embrace it all. Enjoy the experience of them. Stifling a harmless nature isn't going to bring any good. Like I said, it can be an amazing source for positive mental health and bring wonderful flavour to your life. Just because it's kinky and different doesn't mean it has to bring shame. And let's be honest, there's nothing wrong with getting a buzz from knowing that there are certain types of people who can't handle the fact that we live in a society where others can be free when it comes to expressions of sexuality. What are you going to do? Live by their narrow-minded rules or live by your own? It's your life, not theirs. So if you have a gear fetish, recognize it and embrace it. Doesn't matter how much or how little you start with. Experience it wherever you feel comfortable doing so. Go put some gear on. Wear it with pride. Wear it with a smile.